I'm sure you've been hearing this all morning, but people are really upset on social media. So you had a lot of support.
No one's telling me anything. They
Oh,
just keep
really?
me in the dark. I have no idea what's going on right now. No.
You were
Uh,
trending on Twitter last night, so people were
oh
really
man.
sad.
Oh
um,
man. Oh geez. I mean, it's honestly, it's extremely humbling, this whole thing. And so I, I don't know what to say.
yeah,
I'm just happy. I'm just grateful for this entire experience. I'm happy that it happened. I'm happy that I was able to get the call back to do this. And I'm extremely grateful that Big Brother allowed me to use the show as a platform, in many ways, not as intended, as sort of its main purpose, but nonetheless, here we are, and it's what a time.
yeah. I mean, let's start there. When you got the call for All Stars, what were your thoughts? Did you have hesitation?
Of course, I had hesitation. I mean, the world in which we live in, and I don't know details of what the state of the world is today just yet, but where I left it was, there's a whole lot going on, and those are the reasons why I was hesitant to even come back, because to obviously to leave family, and that relies on me so heavily, behind, is unnerving, to say the least. But that was the very reason I felt like I had to go back, and I didn't make my reasoning known necessarily in its entirety to everybody, whether it was my work or my family. I wanted to be very clear that, listen, this could be a great opportunity, and when is this ever going to happen again? But I didn't go into the details. For me, it was never about the money. Obviously, it would have been really nice to have, but I felt like whenever we just kind of reduce ourselves to just making money or wanting money, I think things just don't work out, and we always are left disappointed. And I told myself that, how could I not do this, given where we are in this world? And so that was the driving point. And that's why I went back into the house. And I remember I mentioned that to Janelle when I was kind of like, it was probably week 2, maybe week 2, that or week 3, where I was getting emotional, and I was just having, it was we have our ebbs and flows. We kind of we have hard times in the house. And she said, why do you always want to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders? And I said, because I can't be away from my family just for money. I can't just sacrifice all of this. There has to be a bigger reason that I'm here, and that's it. So
Yeah. We saw some of those conversations on the feeds. I mean, you weren't there long, but we did see a lot of, I think, important conversations on the show as well that they showed. Do you feel like you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish, even in just 4 weeks?
Well, I don't know the extent of how things were portrayed, because I haven't seen them yet, and I don't know. No one's told me the details. I don't know how things are being received on social media, so that's all news to me still. I can tell you this: I had the conversations, and they were natural. They weren't forced, and I believe that they took place and unfolded the way that they were meant to. So that, for those reasons, I'm extremely satisfied and proud to have participated in this experience and this journey. I feel as though, more importantly, that I was able to hear the stories come directly from the people that needed to tell them, and I was able to just participate and listen. If I was able to be a catalyst in any of that, then I feel very fortunate, and so that's all that matters. And so, if it was received well, all the better. And I felt like, walking out of that door, being evicted, I walked out with my head held high, and I wouldn't change anything. I think that's what made everything so special, right? I don't think it was one thing. I think it was, the current state of affairs. It was the fact that, I can go on TV and have this platform and do something incredible with it. It's the fact that Janelle and I were able to come back after so long together. This nostalgia that it creates. There's so many things. And so I can't say this enough, like how fortunate and blessed I think I feel, because so many things had to have taken place perfectly. And I think a lot of it was out of my hands.
Yeah.
Most of it, in fact. And so those are the reasons why I'm like, I couldn't have controlled any of these things, but yet they worked out in such a great way.
For sure. So let's talk about Janelle real quick. I mean, I think one of the highlights of my season, I'm sure for a lot of people, is just seeing you guys together for nostalgia purposes. It was really cool. What was it like for you just being in that world with her and your friendship just picking up where it left off?
This is going to sound cheesy, but like, honestly, it was emotional. And I had to sort of, I had to pause and remind myself like this was happening, because again, it was just there had to have been such a precise sequence of events to take place to make this possible. And I had to remind myself, and I imagine it was probably getting annoying. And I was like, I would have to say, can you believe we met here 15 years ago? We were the first ones in this newly minted house. Like no one had ever lived here before. And the most unlikely of friendships emerged against the odds. And here we are again, after all of these years. Like, this should have never happened. In fact, it should have never happened the first time. Like there were so many things standing in the way. So it is incredible. I get chills just thinking about it now. Like, what are the odds, honestly? So that for those reasons, like I think the biggest disappointment for me was not being able to obviously, like I would have liked to see myself go further in the game as a competitor. I would have liked to see myself win an HOH or do something more than I did from that standpoint. But the other disappointment, really, probably the one that was even bigger, was I would have liked to see the storyline of, and I mean this very loosely, like not necessarily on the show, but like just see our journey as Janelle, Kaysar, sort of the iconic pair on TV, play out a little more. When am I going to ever get to see this woman again and be able to, have like this college like slumber party, which is super weird, like at 40, just be like on national television, and to be able to like have that moment and just have like a good time and laugh about silly things and do that all over again like we were 24. It's truly incredible. And so I felt very fortunate. I was sad to see that come to an end, as I imagine lots of people were.
Yeah, I mean, people did not find it annoying. People were making fan videos. They were showing, it was. You're gonna be happy when you get out. Like it's.
Oh God, it takes me back to 2005. I saw the tribute videos were hilarious. There was like music and oh God. Okay, so we're doing that again.
We're doing that again. We're back to the old. And I gotta say, you brought out the FBI hat and people lost it last night. People were losing it.
I figured, I was like, maybe people remember this. I think it's time to bring it back. I was going to bring it back when I won the HOH, if that was going to happen. And that was going to sort of signal a transition in the house. I was going to burn the whole thing down. And I was going to wear the hat while doing it. So, and I never got the chance. And that was more, I ended up bringing it out because, it was to signify sort of my retirement, I suppose.
Don't say that. Well, I'll get to that. But I mean, I think the fans were just as frustrated as you were, because even in your speech, it seemed like no one wanted to scoop you up. And I know you're not easy to scoop up. You're usually like a leader, but you were essentially alone and they weren't taking advantage of that. How frustrating was that for you? And do you think there was anything you could have done differently?
Look, everybody knows, I'm assuming that I tried, I was so out of breath from the amount of talks and speeches I had to give to motivate people to change direction, to do something else. And unfortunately, people were just complacent and comfortable in whatever the hell they had. And, And I can see in certain cases when I'm talking to Tyler or Enzo, Bailey, Davon, they just so badly like wanted. And I think the catalyst would have been me getting power. That would have shaken things up, and then they would have disassociated themselves with whatever they had. But it was more like, you got to give me something to go to if I was going to leave what I have now. Mm-hmm. Looking back, I think that's probably what that was about. So I can't blame them. And from that standpoint, I think a lot of people, I know I had friends in the house, and I can tell people so badly wanted to follow me into a burning building in some cases. And I think had I really went for it and just shook things up, I think I would have been the one to kind of light that match, but I believe that they would have come with me once the fire started.
We all saw that. And you were so close to that HOH.
I know. God, it's a game of inches, you know. Mm-hmm. We've heard that before. That to compare to, you know, as we describe other, you know, really, you know, big games like football, for instance. Right. I think Big Brother certainly falls into that category too.
Well, so let's really quick just talk about your eviction speech. Tell me about, I guess, how you came up with this, because it definitely, there was some overnight drama after that eviction speech that was really fun to watch.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear that.
They were crying, there were tears.
Oh, perfect. So it was not for nothing.
Yep. How did you come up with that?
Look, I think there was something certainly brewing. It was frustration that sort of, it stemmed from frustration. And obviously I've been trying to move the needle for weeks, I would say. And then I figured, you know what? I have a platform. It's my going away speech. It's a Hail Mary. If I could, you know, blow up the house one last time before I leave, maybe it'll shake things up and inspire people to vote for me to stay. It's a long shot, not likely, but at the very least, I could leave them with a lovely parting gift. And I decided to do just that. So I know some people in the house were trying to push that on me, which was something I was already thinking about. So I know Ian, Davon, Bailey, Kevin, all kind of suggested like, hey, what if you did this? My hesitation really stemmed from wanting to be sort of a good sport about it. I didn't want it to be portrayed as, well, he's just sour that he's going home this week. So I wanted to keep it as classy and kind of it's sort of a tad comical, because, you know, I wanted to call everyone out and just in a comical way kind of tell them they sucked at this game, because, you know, it's like you're all stars. Like, come on, give me a little bit more gusto. Like, be a little bit more. Yes, you're competitive when there's a vetoes and HOHs, but it's like there's other aspects of the game where you got to flex a little bit, like come out with a little more sass, you know. And I just feel like we weren't getting that. I don't know how it was received on TV, but I imagine it was probably a snooze fest at times. So I was just over it. I'm like, let's just have a little fun, and at least I'll be able to look back and have a laugh at it. And I think some people took it personally. I don't know why. Like, we've all played this game many times over. No one was saying anything bad about your family or you personally or anything. So it's like, I think people should just like relax and, you know, have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the fans totally got it. You were speaking on behalf of a lot of us who were like, come on. So I think you said, you know, people are bored, you're bored, and we were bored too. So
I told them, please vote me out of this house if you're not going to change anything. So happily leave if this is the kind of game that you guys want to play.
Exactly. And the one person I would say that seemed to take it personal in Dani, she's an old school player. Were you surprised, you know, just how the new school plays now, where they kind of just do what the HOH wants? It's really a different game almost. Would you say that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a different era of Big Brother, and I think you don't want to, there's something about not rocking the boat and making sure all the votes kind of align in a certain way, and you don't want to be outspoken. And I'm not, you know, obviously that doesn't really jive with me. I think I don't need, needless to say, I don't need to kind of really spell that out. But, and I don't care how the new school wants to play the game. I don't. So they can play the game the way I want to play it. That's the way I feel about that. And the thing is, you know, about Dani and being offended, I can tell by her body language that she wasn't having it. Nicole seemed to be offended too. They were crossing their arms and they looked pretty sour about the speech. But I forced them to give me a hug, and I don't care. And so they need to get over it. And here's the thing: like, I can understand why they would be offended, because their gameplay hinges upon secrecy. That's how they otherwise, if their cover is blown, they're dead in the water. So obviously, they would probably be the most upset about what I just did.
Right. I think you're right. How do you think pre-existing relationships and any pre-gaming kind of affected your game?
I mean, that's speculative. I don't know. Obviously there's going to be a rumor mill of like who did what, and I'm not going to get lost in all of that, because it's easy to just kind of find yourself trying to kind of disseminate information that you don't even know if it's true or not. All I do know is how things sort of played out in the house real time. And I try to kind of really focus on the facts. And ultimately, there's nothing you can do kind of looking back and trying to change history. So it's, again, I'm not sure.
Who do you think is playing the best game right now? Who would you put your money on?
As much as I feel most burned by Memphis, I have to say, man, incredibly impressed. Because typically, like, I can take extremely as like little as information as possible and turn it into something. I was able to kind of figure out the four, and then with no one giving me anything except watching sort of movements in the house. Memphis was sleeping right next to me, and I did not see it coming. I would spend mornings with him, and I didn't see it coming. So kudos to Memphis. From a game standpoint, I think that was truly phenomenal, because I don't know if anyone is even targeting him right now. But again, I don't know what happened last night. So
you don't know who won the HOH?
Who won the HOH?
Christmas.
Okay. Well, I guess Memphis is going to be okay then.
And Davon was this close to winning too, which was.
Oh no, gosh. Oh, she's probably so disappointed.
Yes. Yeah.
I think Davon knows that her and Bailey are probably next.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh, that just makes things even worse. Oh God, heart-wrenching.
So Kaysar, what is your, if you looking back on Big Brother, what is your favorite memory? What sticks out to you?
I think it comes from, there are different memories that that really resonate with me. Obviously, meeting Janelle in the house, under the circumstances in which we did, like back against the wall, we were underdogs. She turns to me, and we were discussing over a game of chess. And I said, "You're not fooling me with this whole like dumb blonde thing that you're trying to kind of pull off." And that was hilarious. And that sort of set in motion our relationship, which has been something that I'm incredibly grateful for. And really what ended up happening was it sort of turned into something that was incredible to see unfold on national television. And then that allowed me to kind of win HOH and pull like a really like iconic move in that house. And so forever that's sort of something that I think will stay with me personally. And I loved it. I think coming back to season 7, obviously playing with some of the greats was truly a treat. Like being able to operate in a house, it was a challenge, especially given the circumstances. Everybody knows who everybody is and how that works. And there are a lot of really big personalities, and you have to sort of try to keep up. Being in a house with Dr. Will, my God, it is exhausting. Just the personality, let alone the gameplay. So, those are the types of things you remember. And of course, the emotion that sort of gets sort of that resurfaces, that comes back 15 years later to be able to play with Janelle again. That's not something that I'm going to take lightly, and that's not going to go away for a very long time. So that I can't forget. And I think even the circumstances in which we were able to play this game again, around the time where there's COVID, a global pandemic. There's not much television, and the television that I think came about through Big Brother was much needed. It was a reminder of what the irony of it all, what reality could look like again. You saw us hugging, you saw us eating together, you saw us having conversation. And that is a beautiful thing. And I'm hoping that that sort of acts as a catalyst to something much better. I hope something that we can kind of remember and look forward to again. That I will never forget. And what's fascinating about that, it was that was not part of the intended gameplay. It just comes about because of circumstances. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you think, will you and Janelle keep in better touch after this, you hope?
I hope so. I really do. And I think this is something, I think we're all probably there, right? Where it's like, we want to do things different. We want more work-life balance. We want to have better relationships. And I think that all comes about, that stems from where we are as people during these times. That obviously then, that speaks to my relationship with Janelle. I told her that while we were in the house. I said, I'm going to do a better job of being a better friend. And I want to, like, it's just a waste. Like, her and I, those things, you don't just click with people the way that we do. It's a real bond. Like, it's not something that it was conjured up for good television. And I think that's evident.
Yeah. And I think it's nice for people to see. It's kind of, it's almost like comforting, to be honest. Well, I guess my last question, Kaysar, is just, are you done with Big Brother forever? Or do you have another round in you? What's your Big Brother future look like, if anything?
You know what? Maybe I'll come for another 4 weeks and get evicted. Who knows? That seems to be my track record. So it's really like, it's a 12-week commitment for everyone else. It's a 4-week commitment for me. So why not?